Hi guys, I know I haven't posted in a little while, but I just thought after recent events that I would put a little post up. Um, my mum and I spoke to our local paper about my dad's suicide, and it got a huge response, and I sent it to, well, it got picked up by other local groups, um, because in my local area, suicide, especially in the young and in the age group that my dad was in, is a massive issue just now. It's so saddening and terrifying. Um, the amount of people that are taking their own lives. Especially the young, it doesn't matter how old you are. Um, the impact, the impact is still the same. I'm still living with PTSD. I'm still answering awkward questions from my beautiful children who miss, their papa a lot. But when I was approached about the interview, I just thought it was so important to do it and share our story in the hope that it would just help even one person. And I hope it has done that. And I'll post the link below if you would like to read it and share it. I just, it's quite critical, something that my mum says in the interview. Just, my dad had all the love, all the support, all the access to help that he could ever need, and it wasn't enough. um I'm kind of coming to live with that now, that it wasn't. It's really hard to accept that I wasn't enough or my children weren't enough, but I think in that moment, the pain is so intense and so horrific that you just want it to end. um I get it to a degree with my anxiety and my depression, but I've never done that. I just want, I want to escape from where I am, the home setting, rather than life. Um, but been a lot of press recently, like I say, regarding suicide. There's lots of really amazing local groups in my area that are championing, especially for men to talk and attend these meetings, to get the support they need. But like I say, the epidemic in the young is just heartbreaking. And I've experienced it firsthand. I've worked with the local police. I was a civilian working the control desk when a gorgeous little boy at 10 years old took his life. And the memory of that will never ever leave me. And of hearing his mum over the radio, just that will never leave me ever. And still to this day, I wonder what was so horrific in that beautiful, pure little boy's head that would make him do that. It 10 years old, you're supposed to be having fun and living life and not have a care in the world. And that really, I mean, that was, oh my goodness, 15 years ago. And now the concern is even greater because I worry about my children in this age of social media. As much as it is amazing, when I was younger, if you were getting bullied, which I was, or getting hassled at school, once you were home, that was it and you were safe. Whereas now you're not. And there's such a responsibility on parents to monitor social media and try to protect our children from these idiots behind the keyboard who think it's okay to tear people down and tell them to kill themselves and all these other horrific things. It's just, I can't fathom it. I never will. I'm a pretty positive person, or I try to be. Um, and I give people compliments and I try and big up people because it's so much easier to be nice. and to help people when they need it. And I do that in my job. Um, and it's just nice to be nice. It's just nice to you see that mum or dad in a supermarket with their little ones kicking off, and you just see, you're doing a really good job, by the way. That's you handled that really well. Or you see that man or woman walking around the supermarket, and who might be a bit older, and do you need a hand? It's just human nature. And in the current climate that we're in and this uncertainty, the one thing I can be certain of is just pure good human nature. And no much so than when I watched the Jessie Nelson documentary from Little Mix. I've always been a Little Mix fan. I will admit it. Little Mix, Westlife, Backstreet Boys. Do you know, I love Little Mix and what they stand for. Their lyrics can be filthy, but that documentary about cyberbullying was just so poignant for me, because I remember being 16, 17, well, a lot younger, early high school, and being called fat and believing it, and it tarred the image that I had of myself throughout my whole teenage years. And when I look back now at pictures of me as a teenager, I was tiny, and I spent all that time worrying and calorie counting, and at one point I did stop eating because I believed I was fat because of these little idiots that told me I was. So it's just so horrible how some people's comments can really change the way you feel about yourself. I'm sitting in front of you now. I've got no makeup on. I'm in my jammies. My wrinkles are all on show. I've got a couple of horrible spots on my chin. But we all have that. And for me, the more important thing is to try and help people who are feeling suicidal. And if I can even help one person to know that you are loved and that there is help out there, and oh my God, it will be hard, but your life is worth living. You are worth it, and there's always going to be somebody there that you can talk to. And I know when I commented on a Facebook group about, suicide's not the option and the lasting effects it has on your family, somebody said to me, I don't have family, I don't have friends. You can't see that, but this is my truth. This is my life. My dad's suicide imploded my world. Finding him was just the most horrific experience. Having to tell my mum that the love of her life was dead, having to spend Christmas Day and Boxing Day telling everybody, his family, his friends, that he was dead, and just the whole situation. If you read the article, you'll see that there was a lot of police involvement and suspicion, and it just was a horrible time. And we're coming up to 3 years this Christmas, and I just, my focus is my children, my two beautiful children, and just trying to push through. It's a massive impact on my life and my marriage and every aspect of my day-to-day living. I've got so many triggers, but I'm trying to come to terms with the fact that we weren't enough, and that's the hard part. But I'll get there. I'm sure I will. I'm sure we all will. But please, please, if you are feeling that way, there's got to be somebody you can talk to. And if your doctor gives you medication or suggests medication, just try it and take it. Yes, it might me feel like absolute crap, but at the end, it could make you feel better. So thank you for listening, guys, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.